I choose Unitedworld? Yeah, that's a very good question. Because, I'm connected with, I've got 24 hours a day. I'm connected right now teaching. I just finished teaching at Fletcher School Innovation, which is a school of law and diplomacy. At MIT in January, I'll be doing a series of leadership workshops for 5 days. And then at Harvard, I'll be teaching strategic problem solving. But I'm not an academic, by the way. I do not teach. I engage in discussion. I'm a management consultant. That's my real profession. And then my biggest area where I'm focused on is the Boston Pledge, which the Calcutta students will get benefit of next time when I come and discuss in Mumbai, which is to serve the bottom of the pyramid in this country. Now, these are the choices I made. I was a senior partner in McKinsey & Company. If I was just focused on money and my brand of McKinsey, I would have continued. I said, why not build a new brand? Unitedworld is a new brand. And I would like to see the next 10 years with you as alumni. You will become an alumni. If you succeed, the Unitedworld name will shine. And that's why I chose Unitedworld, because it is an opportunity to create a brand which will be known all over the world. But it will depend upon how you engage with today's discussion and with your faculty members the next 2 years of their lives. So that's why Unitedworld. So I always have chosen in my life, whether when I was in McKinsey or the kind of clients I served, those opportunities where I do not have to depend on the brand, I'll create the brand. It's very easy to say that I'm a professor at Harvard or MIT with the brand, and you guys will get impressed, wow, he teaches at MIT. But I don't want you to be impressed with that. Really, I don't want you to. I want you to be impressed if I want to impress you with what I'm talking about. Not because of whom I'm quoting or from where I'm coming. And I like to see that you develop your personality in the same fashion. That you impress people not by saying that I know Emerson or I know Shakespeare or Tagore, but I like to see that you write poetry like Tagore. We have been celebrating Tagore for too long. Particularly in Bengal, I always talk about it. That look, very good, we had Tagore. Very good. But where is the next Tagore coming? People in England do not spend too much time on Shakespeare. It's a continuous flow. Now it's Harry Potter. There's always every 10, 15 years some brilliant writers appear. I think that's the challenge. And the reason that it's not happening is because many people who love literature, they enjoy quoting Tagore. And you spend too much time reciting Tagore as opposed to using your brain. And that's what I mean by brain-mind activation. You write something which will go beyond Tagore. And that's the best way to celebrate Tagore. That's the best way to celebrate Vivekananda. To become like Vivekananda and go beyond. Okay. So that's what we're going to talk about in the last part, the leadership capacity, as how to develop an integrated, intuitive, and inspirational personality. Because soon you'll be in this space, talking. That will pass very rapidly. Because the other day I was a student. But when you are sitting here or standing there, the question that you have to ask, what could you share with the people in front of you so that you can inspire the next generation of Indians for the global citizen? And that's what we're going to talk about. And particularly I'm going to talk about very important, which is my statement, two-letter words. If it is to be. Totally believing in that from the bottom of the heart, that if it is to be beat, it is up to you. So you have to figure out what is it that you want to be. You do not have any disadvantage, neither you have any advantage. All the advantages that you have is in your mind and in your brain and in your heart. And the question that you have to ask, and today we'll explore that. What is that to be? And how that you really make it up to be? As opposed to saying, well, so-and-so did not give me the opportunity, it's too bad I could not go to that school. You find all kinds of excuses, which is not within your control. So you are basically renouncing your control. And then say, everyone is bad, I am good, but unfortunately not having it. That's a very negative way of looking at life, and it's very, very common in India. what I learned in the United States, I noticed that in the first week when I was in MIT as a student, that the general spirit is that if it is to happen, I have to make it happen. If it is to be, it's up to you. Because then you do not have a chance to blame others. It's up to you now how you want to shape your life. And that is the purpose of this discussion. So, jointly with your permission, I'll talk about these three subjects. Am I on track in terms of the subjects that I've chosen?
Absolutely.
It basically addresses the questions that you have raised and also the ideas, the facts that I've shared. So the first point that I'll discuss with is the globalization. Now, the point that I want to make to you first, the globalization as a term maybe become popular in the last 10, 15 years. But globalization as a process has been as old as 2,500 years, 3,000 years. It started with the Silk Roads. When in fact India is to play a very important role. The silk from India, the ivory from India, the spices from India, which is spread out all over the world. And there were merchants. I remember a song in Bengali, Vanijya de Yavya. And the whole concept was that people used to live home for 15, 25, 30 years, leaving their family behind, to take something to overseas, not knowing when he or she, but those days it was largely he, but when he will come back. So that spirit has been there, and globalization started, I would say, about 500 BC, since the days of Silk Road. And it was basically trading of raw materials from different parts of the world, which is to happen either on ships or camelbacks or horses. But the period was 25, 30 years of exploration, which you guys in the internet do in 15 nanoseconds. But that used to take 15, 20 years. Now, so I would call the stage one was venture-driven globalization. Then something important happened as the European Renaissance started taking place. Many of you have read Shakespeare's Merchants of Venice. The Venice and London and a little bit of, I think, Shanghai. They started emerging as centers of trade, where instead of people just going and far away, they would come into some hubs. So people will come to Venice from Western Europe, from Persia to trade. And that's how Venice, London, in the Western world, a little bit of Shanghai and later part Kolkata became some of the centers of trading. And Mumbai also, and Madras. Now that was the European Renaissance period, where it was still venture-driven, but people started going to these trading centers to trade. But the big push towards globalization happened when it moved to stage two, which is resource-driven. As industrialization began with the steam engine, with the internal combustion engine later, people started looking for raw materials. I need cotton, I need coal, I need iron ore. So particularly Europeans started moving out and looking for raw materials. So this search for resources led to the globalization, which led to the development of the colonies. As you know, India became part of the British Empire. That's what the whole period of colonization, which was between 1600s to almost 1900s. But then the stage three of globalization began, which is market-driven. Now this is the first time the American companies started emerging. And American companies' beauty was, America used to be a poor country those days. But what America was doing extremely well, was extremely innovative, and any idea they developed, they wanted to take to the world in a brand. And that led to the market-driven globalization. Companies like Coca-Cola and Procter & Gamble, Heinz started developing. Now, mind you, Heinz is again, the person who started Heinz is from Pittsburgh, comes from a very, very average family, who didn't finish high school, or started making tomato kitchen from Kuwait. But what Americans were good at